Hey, hello everybody. It's Lou and Bob at the Two Old Guys Garage. And it's been a while because I've been waiting for parts. Today is March 3rd, 2024. This is part 23, segment 1, the start of. And looky. There's the inside fender wells.
Yeah,
From
New Zealand.
All the way from New Zealand. Pretty good shape too, huh?
Yeah, they're not shabby at all.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yes.
And as far as we know, the steel fenders and grill are on ship.
Should be on their way.
Did he confirm that they actually?
No, I haven't talked to them.
Okay. All right. So, in the meantime, at the end of part 22, I had kind of a selfie in my midget two-car garage talking about trying to drive the coupe up from the lake storage, 90 odd miles away, to here, and then finding out that for some reason the brakes had disappeared. Well, empty master cylinder. We don't know why the master cylinder emptied, but at any rate, it's been 3 weeks since we published part 22, and I got into a mode of kind of like patient my ass, I'm going to kill somebody, and I decided, screw this shit. I had a custom tow bar that I made for the car back in 1960, 61, which tow barred the coupe from East Coast to West Coast, tow barred the coupe from West Coast to Texas. So I worked on that, cleaning it up, making sure everything was right, built a new tow cable that fits custom into the coupe. And about a half an hour ago, I just arrived tow barn, and there the son of a gun is. It's in the house. Okay, so Lou has graciously offered up the use of his garage to work on, since there's actually no room in my house. And of course, all the tools that I got, Lou has got them, plus even more. So we're gonna jack it up and put it on stands. Are we gonna work on it today or later or what?
Yeah, might as well.
Well,
It's up to you.
You got a new TV though.
Yeah, I've got to dial that baby in.
We got to dial the new LG 75-inch TV in, which is all mounted and plumbed and wired. But as usual, they do not give very good instructions. But anyway, there it is, my deuce coupe with no brakes. Yeah, little deuce coupe with no brakes. All right, I'm gonna pause this here. Maybe catch you a little bit back after we get it up on jacks. See what it looks like. Pausing here. Hey, returning after a pause. You can see the coupe is kind of apart and up on jack stands. And basically finding out why we lost the fluid, we haven't been able to do that, right? Went from stem to stern, side to side, went back, and so on and so forth. And there was wetness under the master cylinder, the brake master cylinder, and the exhaust pipe, but come to think of it, before I left the lake, I did turkey base out that .3 shit fluid and filled the master cylinder up with silicon fluid, .5, which I use in all my cars for years. I know there's controversy about it, but I happen to like it for many reasons. Anyway, so while we're under there, we bled all the 4 brakes and got plenty of air out, and we actually have a brake pedal now. So wiped everything, floor and underside. We're going to let it sit for a while, and maybe the next thing would be to put the pressure booster, the bleeder on, Lou. Put it under pressure. See if we got some fluid. Anyway, that's for another day. At this time, we're going to go in and we're going to mess with Lou's new TV, which is installed, help configure it, get it all set up, and so on and so forth. And you can see side panels are off over there. And you got a good view of the 1962 Volvo 122 front disc brakes, which I put on and finished them in 1974, 76, somewhere around there. And I ended up taking the Volvo backing plate and adapting it in so that the backside doesn't get splish splash. It's funny because when I first put them in back in the 70s, I didn't realize that I had swapped the lift to the right cylinder, and consequently that put the OEM stock bleeding screws on the bottom, which is not good for getting air out of the cylinder. And then a couple of years back I replumbed this to move the brake bleed screw to the vertical. And unfortunately you got to pull the tire to get at it, but what the hell. Still easier to get to than the Jaguar ones in the back. Okay, so at that point, we're going to quit, and we're going to go in and do the TV, right?
Jack it up and see what happens with the TV.
So this is the end of segment 1, part 23. Catch you all later. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, good morning, viewers. It is March 6th. This is part 23, segment 2 of the Two Old Guys Garage, Lou and Bob, for the Anglia Street Rod build, which at the moment is still in a hold position waiting for the fenders, the steel OEM fenders, which are allegedly somewhere being shipped. We don't know. As reported the last time, we got the fender wells from New Zealand. They look pretty good. So, in the meantime, we're fooling around with my car, the Coupe, the 32 Coupe. And what I didn't mention the last time at the end of segment 1 was that while we were checking underneath, I actually pulled the... hang on, I'm going to pause for a second here. Back. Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat a little bit. Anyway, what I did not mention at the end of segment 1 for part 23, the last time we filmed, was that while I was underneath, I took the flexible vacuum line off of the vacuum booster that ties to a 3/8 inch copper line that feeds off the manifold, which is right in there, and took a Q-tip and stuck it in both ends, and it was not wet at all. A little bit dirty, but that's what you expect, because I think it's been together for about 30 years, whatever. So no signs that the vacuum is directly working on it. As Lou pointed out, it's possible that there could still be an internal leak where some of the fluid has gone into the vacuum diaphragm side and not on the master cylinder side, and not on the vacuum line side. We'll address that later. But in the meantime, this morning we bled the brakes again and actually put pressure bleeder on, and got a reasonably good pedal, and there are no signs of leaks anywhere in the floor in the 3 days or so since we started working on the brakes. So what we're going to do is, this alternator support was built many years ago, probably 1960 or 61, and a little bit of history. My first small block Chevy was a 56 Corvette short block, which I acquired probably in the fall of 56 when I was 16 years old. And it took me probably a year and a half or two to get all the parts to put it all together, mostly driven by a lack of money. But in the meantime, my plan had been to put the small block Chevy into my first car, which I bought at 15, 36 Ford 5-window coupe, and had put a flathead in it with souped up, heads and carbs and type of stuff. And that didn't happen. So, and eventually, I think after, probably when I was about 17 or so, I sold the 36 Coupe and I bought my 44 two-door deluxe sedan. Got the engine together pretty much at the beginning of 1958 and installed it in the 44. And what I used was the exhaust manifolds from the 55, 56 Chevrolet Passenger, which are a log type, that this port, this port, this port, and this front port all dump about here in the log with the output, which was good because in the 44 that made it drop down ahead of the steering box. There was no clearance problems. Now in 50, I believe 56 or 57 Corvette, they introduced the ram's horns manifold. And by the way, before I get to that, the log also had a cast iron piece on the driver's side to mount the 12
12-inch.
The 12 volt, 12 inch DC generator, which of course I had mounted. And because it was hanging out here so far, I made this adapter bracket and moved it up. And in fact, if you can see that this is the long piece that fits the DC generator type thing. And then it was a question of welding this piece on and spacer and using the same bracket. Years later, when I converted into an alternator. So, 67 in California, I put a set, I took the log manifolds off and I put a set of the ram horns manifolds on, which is a swoopy loop in the middle and a dump, and it was still, as you can see, it was still ahead of this steering box, so it was not a problem. Now, reputedly, the ram's horn manifolds over the log cast iron ones would give you a gain of about so-called 15 horsepower. When I put them on, there was no question about that. There was more power and the engine ran better. So then a few years later, I happened upon a used set of small block Chevy tri-Y headers that were custom made for a 32 Ford Roadster that some airline pilot owned or something like that. Anyway, I don't know what he was doing, but I ended up buying those tri-Y headers for $35. And the only mod I had to do was I had to extend the connection to drop the header pipe down about 2 inches. But other than that, they fit. You can see there's a dump collector under there, and then it runs back and goes into the muffler and out. And at the time, I went to a 2-inch pipe all the way back, which was good because most everything was 1 3/4. Of course, now 2 is considered small, but that's what it is. So what I'm going to do is I bought that alternator bracket, and I'm going to pause this and I'm going to start to dismantle this and see how that bracket fits to replace this. I mean, you know, it's cool. It just barely clears the side panel, but it's kind of ugly. So this is a cosmetic fix, and we'll see how it goes. So at that point, I'm going to pause this and I'm going to start taking it apart. Be back after a while. Okay, we're back. Okay, pausing and be back in a bit. Okay, we're back. Ground off the bracket as best I could, and later on I'll touch this up with some silver VHT, because this is a ceramic coating down here, but that's from the previous weld of this bracket that broke loose a couple of years back. Anyway, we're all set on that. We seem to have brakes, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to take it off the jack stands and do a little road test around the block here, see how it operates. And then we'll be back in a little bit then. Thank you. Bye-bye. We're back.
Hey, got my
Oh, that's right. You got your two old guys garage t-shirt on. Yeah. Huh. I had mine on yesterday, so I had to put it in the hamper last night. Okay, so here we are. We just took it for a medium ride around the block. Everything works fine. The brakes work fine. They're high, hard pedal. The power brakes work when the engine runs. So the big mystery is, where the fuck did all that fluid go?
yeah.
Of course, it's sat for close to 2 years, but
Yeah, still ain't gonna.
silicon fluid doesn't really evaporate. There should have been some signs of stuff. Anyway, what we're going to do at this point is we'll continue to monitor the situation and see what happens. In the meantime, I've been talking to Lou about taking advantage of his expertise in adding a panhard bar to the front of the 32, which is certainly doable. And then, oh yeah, Lou, we've been talking about changing to a reverse Corvair steering box to get away from the old 48 Ford box. And with all the research that I've done to death, it looks like it might be better to mount the box on top of the frame, because if you look here, this drag link bar to the front left is not really lined up. It's at an angle, and that's not good. That induces bump steer. So if I can get a Corvair box up here and the steering arm drops down, then this would come up here and would be more parallel to the hairpins, which would make it less bump steer. Of course, I don't really have a bump steer problem anyway, because I've got a stabilizer shock mounted here that's off a Ford Bronco front end with urethane bushings, so there's no slop or sway. But that's where we're at. So I think at that point we're going to let me change the scale. I think at that point we're going to knock off on the coupe for a bit. Lou, you got anything else you want to do?
No, I'm just still stuck here waiting for parts.
Okay.
And I need to call him up and see what skinny is.
Yeah, see if he's at least shipped them.
Yeah, he should have had shipped them by now.
Okay.
So, that was good. And the alternator bracket came out beautiful in there.
Yeah, I'm really
Really looks good.
really surprised. Basically, it kind of bolted right in the way it was supposed to, and what amazes me is that everything is super lined up. The belt is as straight as it ever has been, even before. So that's looking good. And of course, we got that piece cut off, and I'll trim that up with silver VHT, as I might have mentioned already. So with that, we're going to bid you goodbye, and I probably have enough to put a video out for part 23. Yeah. So see where we're at. All right, thank you, everybody. Get that finger out of there, Bob. Okay, signing off. Sayonara.